Hi! Well, it's hard to believe, but guess what? We're over 25% of the way through the 21st century. It's the age of AI, pro wrestling style politics, and the government essentially admitted they know aliens exist. But there's a much less talked about fear looming. Where in the hell is everyone?
Where the f*** is everyone?
The neighborhood used to be lined with Clark Griswold-sized families, but today you're much more likely to find Margot and Todd living next to you. Just take a trip around town, you see the difference. There's no 16-year-old hostesses waiting to seat you at your favorite restaurants anymore. The malls that once served as teen hubs are shuttered, and McDonald's no longer sees the point in maintaining the playgrounds anymore. What happened? Well, it's more what didn't happen. The birth rate tanked as having kids fell much lower and lower on people's priority lists. Many of those who do have kids only have one, and the numbers don't lie. Moms today have about 1.6 kids on average, and that's been stable for decades now. In 1976, believe it or not, 40% of moms had 4 or more children. Whoa! By 2016, that number dipped down to 15%. Europe's in bad shape as well. Almost 50% of households with children have exactly one kid in 2024. Only child families in the UK will make up 50% of all families by 2031. To replace ourselves and continue Western civilization, women must produce an average of 2.1 births each. Just do the math. We got a big problem on our hands. But is it too late? Thanks for stopping by NPC Overrider, where we challenge mainstream source code to develop independent thought, one user story at a time. Today we're playing some Sonic 2 on the Sega Genesis. Grab your prenatals and let's check out the latest programming. Block 1. Why stop at 1? It's hard to blame people for only having one child, or none at all for that matter. It's not about laziness. For many, it's a survival tactic. Between housing costs, childcare, and groceries, raising kids costs a lot more than it used to. It wasn't long ago that a man could support an entire family on a single salary. Today, multiple income streams are required if you want to eat and enjoy central air. Then there's the social aspect. Teachers, Hollywood, and social media not only encourage girls to chase corporate dreams, but also portray motherhood as old-fashioned, oppressive even. Meanwhile, boys are encouraged, well, to be boys. Those who insist on having a single child find that's how to enjoy the best of both worlds. Go to college, have fun, get a good job, pump out a kid later on, spend 6 weeks with them at home, and then it's off to daycare for junior. Having a kid is challenging, but it's manageable. Having 2 or 3 becomes exponentially difficult, especially for older parents accustomed to their independence or day jobs. That's why in autumn, such moms post videos of themselves enjoying a drink at noon on the first day back to school, and meltdown videos appear when summer break hits. We hear statements like, "I love my kid, but I'm not doing that again." Changes to women's bodies were historically expected. Hell, they were lucky to survive childbirth, but they shot for as many kids as possible anyway. Today, women are more worried about maintaining their youthful looks, and men are more interested in their second adolescence than contributing to the future. Just consider extreme examples, like old Tess Christian here. She hasn't smiled in 40 years. Why? To avoid wrinkles. Or Brian Johnson, the multimillionaire who spends millions a year trying to reverse his aging. This is not how we built Western civilization, folks. Block 2. Short-term pros, long-term cons. Only children have gotten a bad rap over the years, seen as spoiled brats or weirdos without regular peer interaction, kind of like homeschool stereotype. But only kids can be super creative and excel academically, and they may have tighter bonds with their parents and be more socially adept than one might assume. Fewer kids means more attention. The problem isn't with only children themselves. It's the future impact. What's convenient for parents and kids in the early days evolves into burdens as parents age, who may need help with doctor's visits, lawn care, and everything else. Back in the day, big families served as mini economies. They shared labor, responsibility, trade, and designated successors, somebody to inherit the farm or the factory. Today, mom and dad have to close down the old bowling alley because they either have no kids to pass the family business to, or their only child prefers living in a van down by the river. Block 3. Long-term macro losses. Okay, now let's zoom out a little bit. Families are the basis of communities, and communities build nations and civilizations, don't they? Smaller families mean weaker communities and equally weaker nations. Big families used to run cities or towns for generations. They influenced local politics and maintained reputations, with parents often hoping their children would marry into one family over the other. Today, small families have less clout, with most communities full of transients as kids flee home for school, a romantic interest they met online, or to head to the coast to climb that corporate ladder. Author Robert Putnam, who wrote Bowling Alone, The Collapse and Revival of American Community, warned about this decades ago, and guess what? We're seeing it play out now. A shrinking population is about more than loneliness or community influence. We also have a maintenance concern on our hands. We stopped growing our own food, we're increasingly reliant on the grid, and become less self-sufficient overall. We need people to maintain power plants, fix the roads, and manage communication infrastructure. At this rate, the grid won't just age, but it's gonna fail. Block 4. What's to be done? Should we be surprised, or is this what happens when societies become too comfortable? Over the centuries, young women sought to have kids as soon as possible. Today, many teen girls can't wait for their 18th birthday so they can open up that OnlyFans account and start making some real cash. Don't get me wrong, men share responsibility as the demand portion of this dystopian socioeconomic equation. But what can we do about it? Some countries incentivize citizens to have kids with tax breaks, cash bonuses, housing assistance, or discounts on public services, as we've seen in places like South Korea, Singapore, and Russia. One might also wonder, is this the point of mass immigration? Does the government understand the seriousness of population decline and seek to import the people required to maintain the nation? If so, why not say so? Also, if so, why do many of the same people support abortion? Why not promote families, legal immigration, and tax breaks for new families? It doesn't add up. But like most things, the solution doesn't lie within government handouts, although those tax breaks would be nice. So it's a good thing cultural changes are afoot. Alright, let's dig into the final patch. Will a revival save us? Despite this stark forecast, we can turn this thing around. Church is regaining popularity after decades of decline, with attendance stabilizing after services were banned while strip clubs remained open. The trad wife trend is picking up steam, and political debates have evolved into mostly cultural topics these days. We don't discuss policy much anymore, at least not in the traditional sense. Instead, politics and culture have fused as we argue what's ethical and morally right, with God and religious debates becoming more prominent. Such conversations were taboo not long ago. In other words, there's a revival underway. Young girls or women aspiring to be moms are no longer seen as old-fashioned or backward. People are realizing that there's much more to life than college debt, world travel, and executive bathrooms. Say what you will about the man's politics, but Jim Carrey nailed it when saying, "I think everybody should get rich and famous and do everything they ever dreamed of so they can see it's not the answer." Indeed, there might be a rough patch ahead with fewer helping hands, but I think there's another baby boom on the horizon as we start shedding the mainstream programming that we should put off having kids or not having any at all. If I'm right, maybe the next generation will once again enjoy long-term support, strong communities, and going on vacation in a crammed station wagon. Otherwise, we can settle for doing what the establishment wants, being good little consumers, interested in nothing but pleasure, screens, and living for today. If we accept that fate, don't be surprised when the bloodlines that made space travel, the internet, and stuffed crust pizza slowly fade away. Well, that's going to do it for this version of NPC Overrider. I'm your lead engineer, Greg. All references are available through the release notes, or they will be shortly. If you want to help me save the NPCs, hit the subscribe button and join the dev team. Set that like button to true, and open up a ticket in the comments section if you have an idea for a future release. But for now, we're going to shut down and grab ourselves a beer. Thanks for stopping by. Have a good one.